Over the past 40 years, Star Wars sound design has reached iconic status. Whether or not they've actually seen the movies, anyone can probably identify Darth Vader's breathing. And for fans, countless other noises are sealed in our memories. Chewbacca's roar, the deep whoosh of a lightsaber, and the distinct screech of a passing TIE fighter are just a few. But how did all these noises come together to form one believable world? Let's start with two of our favorite sidekicks, Chewbacca and R2-D2. Ben Burtt cooked up the sounds for both these guys from scratch, with contributions from some surprising sources. Chewie was actually Burtt's first assignment for the Star Wars series, while it was still only in script stage. The Wookiee himself was inspired by George Lucas's dog, Indiana, but his roars are actually a collage of animal noises that Burtt recorded over a year of chasing around real-life wild beasts.
You okay, R2?
This might come as a shock, but it was really hard to make a robot sound emotional and vaguely human. For a while, all the robot voices Burtt created felt too cold and mechanical. R2's voice didn't really gel until Burtt picked up the mic himself. The end result is a highly synthesized version of Burtt making weird baby noises over electronic audio.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
Not to diss James Earl Jones, but Vader's ominous breathing is even more iconic than his booming voice. Based on the script, which said it should be hard to tell if Vader's a robot or a human, Burtt opted to place a microphone inside the regulator of his scuba breathing apparatus and record himself breathing in and out. And to round out the character and creature noises, if you want to meet the real-life animal that gave the Tauntaun its bizarro voice, look no further than the sea otter. Pitched down, the sounds from an Asian sea otter named Moda lent the smelly creature its weirdly adorable grunts in The Empire Strikes Back. Let's move on to the fun stuff. Would Star Wars be Star Wars without the awesome weapons? Take the lightsaber, for example. Burtt's initial inspiration for this elegant weapon sound was a super old projector. As the machine idled, its motors harmonized to create what Burtt calls a wonderful humming sound. But that wasn't all of it. He found the secret ingredient later by accident, when he walked past an old tube TV with a microphone. The microphone picked up the sound from the cathode ray tubes and created a buzzing sound that Burtt laid over the humming. And to make the sabers sound like they're swooshing, Burtt swooped his own microphone across a speaker playing the sound. As for the blasters, Burtt found the perfect sound for them when he was off on a hike. As he walked under the guy wires of a radio tower, he bumped against them, and they produced what he would later call a twanging sound.
Echo Station 3TA. We have spotted Imperial Walker.
Obviously, we can't leave out the Imperial Walkers. In the movie, these guys were basically huge walking tanks, but in reality, they were animated miniatures. Burtt knew he'd have to cook up some pretty convincing sound effects to make viewers believe these small things were actually lumbering pieces of machinery. It took a while, but he settled on a factory that used a metal shearing machine. That moaning sound when they lift their legs? A dumpster door. Speaking of pieces of junk, we'd be remiss to leave out the Millennium Falcon. Her Captain Han Solo might insist she's got it where it counts. And the ship's undoubtedly fast. But it's also got a propensity for malfunctioning at just the wrong time.
Watch this.
Watch what?
To create the Falcon's comical sputtering, Burtt blended several sounds, including the turret motor from an armored tank and some rattling water pipes. And finally, the TIE Fighter. This unmistakable sound comes from two very different sources, elephants and cars. Burtt came across some elephant recordings and realized that when stretched out, they were almost perfect. The finishing touch? Recordings of cars driving in a rainstorm. Like the movies themselves, these sound effects are unexpected and yet somehow very familiar.